true critique of Christian nationalism. By Colin Liddell. Recently, I argued against two rather simplistic critiques of Christian nationalism. Firstly, that it is difficult to generalize about Christianity, by Luke Ford, and secondly, that any ideology that includes Christian elements can only be universalistic, by Richard Spencer. This may have given some the false impression that I was myself in favor of Christian nationalism. I'm not. Just because you demolish a critique does not mean that you believe in the thing being critiqued. It might instead mean you think someone is not hitting it hard enough or in the right places. For me, the problem was that neither of those critiques addressed the real issue with Christian nationalism, an ideology that is being pushed on the right these days by the likes of Nick Fuentes and Andrew Torba. The real problem with Christian nationalism, and indeed with any ideology that includes faith-based elements, is that you actually have to believe in the faith-based elements for it to go any further. Secular ideologies make statements about the world, embody values, or approach reality in certain ways that can be tested objectively. For example, communism was discredited when its economic models failed, fascism when its martial qualities were found wanting, etc. But this is also true for faith-based religions. They too can be tested objectively. For example, it might be noticed that people who live traditional Christian, Mormon, Amish, Muslim, or Hasidic Jewish lives have healthier birth rates than those that don't. But this is also the exact point at which the problem kicks in. And it kicks in like a donkey. Yes, you declare, Mormons have got the right idea. Just look at those healthy birth rates and great group solidarity. But what's the next step? How do you get from noticing the correlation between certain people believing or claiming to believe certain things and the supposed good effects of believing or claiming to believe those things? Do you, for example, just say, well, those birth rates are proof enough for me, I fully accept the divine teaching of the Church of Latter-day Saints. Will that work? And, even supposing it were possible to switch on your faith, like a bathroom light, you would still have problems. You'd have to check the data on conversios like yourself, infected with the poison of previous secularism, to see whether they got the same positive outcomes from the faith as the dyed-in-the-wool, multi-generational religios. Also, if the positive outcomes were your main and overriding reason for forcing yourself to believe in the religion or its ideological derivative, how would you handle other faiths that had identical outcomes? Would you also start riding an Amish horse buggy and worshiping Allah, all while pursuing your socio-political salvation through the Book of Mormon? Non-secular ideologies must always prevail over religiously flavored ones, because, when they point to positive outcomes, you don't have to do gymnastics of faith and force your mind to believe in those things you can't force your mind to believe in. If you're believing in obvious nonsense in order to get to high birth rates, etc., why not simply cut out the middleman, believe in the goal itself, and construct an ideology around that, one that any sane man can sign on to without LARPing too hard? It's as simple as that. If you want, you could still keep the LARPy religion to enjoy in private in your personal downtime. Secularism is honest and lives in the open and welcomes critique. Religious ideology, by contrast, is a lie that lurks in the shadows and avoids critique like a vampire avoids daylight.